Now, when it comes to our next story, this is something that when I saw this news, I honestly felt a little bit afraid. I wasn't sure of what would be the possible outcome because let's be honest, it won't be until a few years when this would officially be released. But still, though, I can't help but worry about what would be the prospects of this idea. And I will be mentioning this a little later as well, but I am aware this is not necessarily the first time that the studio was trying to do something like this. But still, though, the fact that they want to take another shot at this kind of attempt, boy, it just makes me wonder, is it really worth it? Well, let's go and find out as we will go and talk about the prospects of a live-action Rugrats movie. Yes, Paramount has announced that they will go and try to go and take the beloved Nickelodeon series Rugrats and try to turn that into a live-action CG hybrid movie. Now, of course, a whole lot of it is going to be in live action, which is why many people would refer to it as the live action Rugrats movie. But when it comes to the CG elements, it actually is confirmed from other sources that apparently the CGI is going to be the babies themselves. No, it doesn't look like they're going to do exactly like what they did with Baby Geniuses and stuff like that. They're going to go and take characters like Tommy, Chucky, Phil and Lil, and maybe Angelica, and they will go and make them into CG characters, like entirely CG. Now, when it comes to the information that we have on this new movie, honestly, it's not really that much since this is still very early in production. But we do know some of the people who will be working on it, or at least the main people who will be in charge. First off, the director is actually going to be Jason Moore, whom you probably know best as the director of Pitch Perfect. And from there, we also got the writers here, which is stated to be Streeter Seidel and also Saturday Night Live star Mikey Day. So those two are going to be working on the script of this. And as for the producer, we also have, where does it say? Yes, right over here. Apparently, Karen Rosefeld is going to be producing, along with two of the creators of the Rugrats, which is Arlene Klasky and Gabor Ksupo. Oh boy. Yeah, I know like with Klasky Ksupo, it's like not easy to go and pronounce, so I just wanted to go and make sure I said that right. But yeah, like if there is one thing that is a bit reassuring with this project, is that at the very least, they do have two of the creators that will be working on this movie to ensure that they still have the authenticity of the Rugrats. But is that actually going to happen? Well, honestly, again, we don't know. It is still pretty early in production, and we have even yet to receive a release date of when this is going to be coming out. All we know so far is just some of the main people who will be working on this, and the fact that this is going to be a live-action CG hybrid. Now, let me just go and start off by saying that, honestly, I actually grew up with the Rugrats. I would actually consider them to be one of my favorite Nickelodeon shows alongside SpongeBob. As a kid, I used to regularly watch the Rugrats with all the crazy adventures they would go to. I also have, honestly, I have a lot of heart or a lot of fondness for Rugrats in Paris the movie. I remember watching it as a kid in theaters and also rewatching it again and again. And even looking back at it, it's surprisingly a really good movie. But yeah, I've been following the Rugrats for like a few years during my childhood, or even several years. Like I even saw like the period when they included Dill, and then I saw the period where they also included Kimmy. And I'll even admit, I did watch a little bit of All Grown Up, where I was curious to see them becoming young teenagers, but let's just say that it definitely did not hold a candle compared to the original Rugrats. But admittedly, there are some things that I have yet to go and fully watch from the Rugrats. I didn't literally see everything from them. Like, I didn't see Rugrats Go Wild, or I didn't even watch, admittedly, I didn't even see any of the episodes of the 2021 movie. But this is all pretty much to say that I am a fan of Rugrats. And when I did hear about this news right over here, like I said at the start, I was honestly in the mood of like, should I be scared of this? I feel like I should be scared because I don't know if I do like the idea of hyper-realistic CGI babies pretending to be the Rugrats. Like, I don't know if I really want a hyper-realistic CGI Tommy Pickles. There's just something about that. It honestly feels a little bit off. It just sounds a little bit strange right over there. And yes, I am fully aware that this is not the first time that Nickelodeon and Paramount wanted to go and do something like this. Trying to create this live-action Rugrats movie has been going on for quite some time. I'm not 100% sure on when exactly did they start trying to do this. I did hear some people say like the first attempt was like back in 2018 or 2016 or even as far back as 2010 or something like that. Chat wall, feel free if you want to correct me on this to know like when is it accurate that they wanted to go and start that. And yeah, some people are even mentioning, well, yeah, I think it's for sure Spike is also going to be involved in this as well. But I mean, Spike is just going to be like a regular CG dog. So, I mean, like we've already got a whole bunch of those, so it doesn't necessarily matter all that much. Yeah, some people are apparently leaning in more towards 2018. So that seems to be the date on when they started considering that. And I know that at one point, at least the first attempt didn't really work out. And eventually, the attempts evolved into the CG Rugrats reboot that we do have today. So from there, I know this is not the first time, but it seems that with this announcement, it looks like they don't want to give up on it, that they really do think that, oh, we got some real potential right over here. We're going to go and actually make this live action Rugrats movie. We need to have a live action Rugrats movie because we know we've done it a few times of taking Nickelodeon cartoons and bringing them into live action. And I think Rugrats is definitely going to fit the bill on that. But still though, I just gotta say, like, the one thing that freaks me out and has me so concerned is just the concept of it, of having this live action CGI Rugrats movie. Like, how do you pull that off? Or how are you gonna go and pull that off that isn't uncanny? Like, how are you gonna do the CGI, by the way? Because, like, okay, it's one thing to go and do the 2021 reboot, and I will give it that it doesn't look that bad. It is able to do well to go and translate the 2D designs from the original series and bring that into 3D. All right, that's perfectly okay. But then when you try to add live action into the mix and when you have no choice but to do realism, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to go and try to make like realistic CG babies but have them move around like crazy? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, when I would go and think of that, how are you going to go and pull them off? Because trust me, CG babies are not as attractive or as cute as they would be in real life. Because honestly, in my mind, the only imagery that I can have is if you would take like CGI hyper-realistic babies, try to make them be like Rugrats, and you're just going to have like an hour and a half or maybe close to 2 hours of just them going around like, what? Tommy! Tommy! I don't know, Tommy! You know what I mean? It's just, it's an idea that I cannot necessarily imagine. And one thing and by the way, I do see some people in the chat wall, they are mentioning some examples of, some examples of like movies that actually do have some CGI babies, such as Baby Geniuses, or a very prominent example, Son of the Mask, which, yeah, that is honestly so far the biggest example of trying to make a hyper realistic CGI baby and have him be all cartoony and stuff like that. And as we probably know, it's almost unanimous to say that it looks like a complete nightmare. And I wouldn't be surprised if they would go and do the same thing with Rugrats. Now, there is one thing that I will say, though. As much as I am framing this to be this absolute disaster, there is one thing that I do want to give credit to Paramount. And that is right now, they are doing a better job when it comes to taking their familiar IPs and turning them into movies or turning them into different projects. Right now, we have actually seen some very good results, and some of the best movies from Paramount right now is when they would go and try to adapt new versions of animated IPs. Like last year, we had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and that is often agreed to be one of the best versions from the entire franchise. Or then, just recently, we had Transformers 1, and that movie was absolutely awesome, and some people are going as far and say that it is the best Transformers movie that we have so far. And then there is also, and I know this one is like kind of debatable or very debatable, but there's also the Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender series. And I know that not many people like it, and like some people would either like, it's one of those things that either people love it or hate it. But then again, we can all agree, definitely better than the M. Night Shyamalan movie. And some people are even bringing up other examples, such as the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, or Dora and the Lost City of Gold. That is another pretty solid example right there. So, and even the recent Blue's Clues movie is another one. So, all this to pretty much say that, at least right now, Paramount is getting better and better when it comes to adapting their animated IPs and bringing them to new life into a movie or this big budget series. So they are improving, that is for sure. And there is a likelihood that maybe we will be seeing the same thing with the live action Rugrats movie. I mean, yeah, sure, the concept sounds frightening, and I mean, it sounds like something that could lead to a disaster, but there could be that chance that maybe it could turn out to be good, that they do have an idea of what they want to do, and it could actually turn out to be fun and enjoyable and capture the spirit of what the original Rugrats was. So I am open to that possibility because, let's be honest, we never know how it's going to be until it officially comes out. But I will say, though, looking at this right now, seeing what the concept is and knowing what we know now with it, yeah, this is a pretty frightening idea. Honestly, I'm just very worried of how the babies are going to look like, how they are going to move, or let alone who's going to be among the cast. Like, I don't know what direction that Paramount is going to go with this. Like, are they going to bring in the original cast to do this? Like, are we going to have E.G. Daily playing as Tommy and Nancy Cartwright as Chucky and stuff like that? Or are we going to get celebrity voices? Like, is Tommy going to be voiced by Aquafina or something like that? Are we going to see something like that occur? That is also something I don't know, and that's also going to be like another can of worms that we would have to go and deal with later on. But overall, there's just so many of this. It's troublesome. It's just very worrying. And, I do see a lot of you people, you did enjoy the little gag right there, because so far, in my mind, and for many other people's minds, so far, the imagery that we have so far of this Rugrats series is pretty much nothing but So yeah, try to prove me wrong, Paramount. Try to go and show me that this Rugrats movie is not going to be that. At least try to prove me wrong. And I am hoping that you can prove me wrong. Otherwise, oh boy. Yeah, good luck with the next cinematic disaster that you may have. Like, it could be a chance that this is a live action remake that can make Disney know what they are doing with theirs. All right, so with that said and done, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask, what do you all think of this live action CGI hybrid Rugrats movie? Do you think there is a chance that it could be good? Do you think this is already terrible and it's already hopeless? Let me know what you all think. And at the same time, I might as well go and write down a poll right over here just to go and ask you all. Actually, hold on. Let me just go and make the poll here. And let me go and ask, do you think the live action Rugrats movie is gonna be good? So I'll write down yes, and then I'll write down no. All right, so let's see how things are going to go with that. And let me look into the chat wall right over here. All right. Okay. I want to ask Jason Moore about the Rugrats movie. Why are you doing the live action film based on a beloved Nicktoons show? And why are the main babies going to be CG? How the real people going to interact with the CG babies? If the CGI baby's going to be like Ugly Sonic or the Pinky Sheep from the upcoming Minecraft movie, then I don't know what to say about it. This is the trend of ugly cartoony characters like Garbage Pail Kids that Hollywood executives love for whatever reason. Yeah, it's becoming more and more of a thing. But then again, to give Paramount credit, in their defense, we don't know what the CGI babies are going to look like. So far, we just have the concept of it. And I think that, like, what makes this so scary is what we don't know. Like, we only got words of what is being described of what will be to come. We will only have our answers when there is going to be a trailer that's going to be coming out. And at this point, I don't think we're going to have it. Like, if the production is still going, if this is going to happen, then I don't think we're going to see it until, like, the next 3 or 4 years. 2, if we are really lucky. So I think we'll have to go and wait and see. But yeah, I think, like, the thing that makes it so frightening is the element of what we don't know. All right, so let's see now. Rugrats, much like something like Minecraft, is something I think can't work as a live-action CGI hybrid. And while I don't think the idea is 100% dead on arrival, I do think this idea is 70% dead on arrival. I'm not even entirely sure why they can't do a new animated film. But if they don't go full Ugly Sonic and have a decent idea for it, maybe it could work. I'd say it can't be worse than when they made a live-action Fairly Odd Parents, but nah, it cannot be as bad as Fairly Odder. That was next level bad. Yeah, okay, yeah, that is true. Like, the Fairly Odder is like next level horrible. Like that was one of those, like, what the fridge were you even thinking when you were making this? Did you even try? Like, it was legit that bad. So I don't think even this Rugrats movie would even get down to that godforsaken level. Let's see what else we got here. As a lifelong Rugrats fan, this concept got me a bit concerned that the live-action CG hybrid would make it feel inferior to the original show. I've heard of past concerns that several movies, particularly Baby Geniuses and Son of the Mask, had a similar premise and had their execution failed to the max. But I hope that with some of the original creators involved, they'll do their best to help maintain as much as what we love about the OG show as possible. Exactly, and that's probably the saving grace of it. It's the fact that we do have the original creators who will be hands-on and involved in this as the producers. So hopefully they will go and try to salvage this idea as much as possible to make it not sound like an absolute nightmare. And by the way, it looks like, well, most of you really don't like this idea, as 82% of you who have voted have said that, no, there is no chance that this live-action Rugrats movie is gonna be good. I mean, again, I am open to the possibility that it might, but so far from the concept and how it sounds, I do not blame you. All right, let's see what other comments do we have. Even as someone who grew up watching Rugrats, this is a terrible idea. The fact that Paramount still wants to move forward with this, even after we thought it was dead, it just feels like an attempt for Nickelodeon to capitalize on Rugrats even more. So overall, this is a terrible idea. Seriously, it just raises the question, if people didn't like the idea 6 years ago, then what makes Paramount and Nickelodeon think people would approve it now? Exactly. I think, and you know what? I just had a flash. Like, I just had a thought of this. But honestly, I think, like, it honestly depends on how the new management is going to feel about this. Because that's a very significant thing. That very soon, like in several months from now, it will be under new management under Skydance, with the Ellison family being in charge. So you never know if there's going to be something that will really change things up, and maybe they'll try to go and shut things down on this production, or they'll help update it that maybe it could make things better, maybe it could make things worse. But that's also another thing that we have to go and keep in mind, is that it is true that later on, it will be under new management, and the Paramount we know today is never going to be the same. So honestly, it is worth discussing right now, but still though, that doesn't necessarily mean that in the future, we will be seeing this movie actually come to life. We don't know if the new bosses would actually want a live action CG hybrid Rugrats movie. That's going to be also another major determining factor on rather if we're going to have it or not, or how good it's going to be if it does get made. All right, let's see what it was. Matt, I think you just went and created a new meme in regards to your live-action Rugrats reaction, because as far as I'm concerned, I think that explains the situation of this idea in a nutshell. But you sound like you're giving this idea some hope. So who am I to think that this might be a bad idea? Still, I probably prefer some of their successful movies over this worrying idea anyways. And yes, that includes the Quiet Place movies. Yeah, honestly, I do get it. I do understand that there are many other ideas that we would rather see Paramount go and actually do instead of something like this. But still, though, again, this is all just a concept of it. This is still very early in production, and we have to be open to the idea that there is a possibility that maybe in the future, this could actually turn out to be a pretty good movie. If not, well, I mean, who knows, man? I mean, like at the very least, they would try. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment one or two more comments before we go and jump onto our next break. Let's see here. Okay, the idea of CGI babies sounds like a terrible idea. So CG Rugrats didn't work. Maybe we could do live action. Honestly, on one hand, we could go with a lot of babies and toddlers for being treated poorly. On the other hand, look at the dog from Call of the Wild. All CG, no dog. What if they just scan babies and use their bodies and faces for AI? You know, the biggest fear for actors, except it's a bunch of unknown babies. Honestly, I really don't know right there. Like that, again, that is something that we'll have to wait and see when the production does continue. Anyways, let's see here. The idea of this isn't exactly bad, but when you dive further into this, it can make people shiver. The idea of CGI humans in live action flicks are always ugly as hell, and I am wondering who will be the cast of Chucky, Tommy, Angelica, and the twins, Phil and Lil. Maybe they could take cues from Disney for the CGI. Oh wait, never mind, the last part, they can get freaky. Yeah, exactly. I feel like the worst case scenario is that we're gonna have like a baby version of the those you know those Robert Zemeckis motion capture films, you know, stuff like Polar Express or Mars Needs Moms or Beowulf and stuff like that. Oh boy, like I don't know how they're gonna pull off the CG, but yeah, safe to say I'm open to the idea that it could be good, but it definitely has me worried.